Chapter 7, Episode 2. Sally went straight to writing. She didn't even go back to the apartment. She found a quiet corner in the library and started writing without a plan. Crime of the century. Silversnake slammed the receiver down so hard that he broke the telephone. Fucking pig-headed city officials. No one heard him scream. The exotic fish in his large aquarium heard the sounds but didn't change their pace, of course. They knew the boundaries of their world. East-west was 12 to 26 wiggles away depending on which fish was doing the moving, and half that north-south. Silversnake sat in his $20,000 chair of exotic leather and watched the stupid fish. He was still watching the fish, an hour later, when his secretary knocked on the door. She knew he was alone, so did not wait for an invitation. "Mr. Silversnake?" Silversnake took his gaze from the fish and looked at his secretary. She was a good secretary. Came in early every day, never missed a day, kept all his appointments in order. Miss Ines Cohen was past her stunningly beautiful youthful years, but she was still beautiful and much younger than Silversnake. Her beauty did not interest Silversnake. He only ever saw her for a few minutes at a time, at a few times a day. "Your luncheon meeting, sir." Silversnake gave her this "what the fuck, bring me up to speed" look. "The mayor at the Ritz, 12:30. "Ah, yes. Thank you, Miss Cohen." Miss Cohen bowed ever so slightly and backed out of the door and closed it. Silversnake looked at his watch and noticed that it was 12:12. He went to the fish tank and tossed in a bit of fish food. "Enjoy your lunch." He said the same thing to his secretary on his way to the elevator. As was the common practice, the elevator was open and waiting for him. It was not his personal elevator, but it was his when he used his key. With 16 minutes to get to the Ritz, he decided to use his key. He smiled up at the numbers. Not only did he enjoy watching the numbers rush down toward 1, but he liked to keep the security guards watching the many screams amused. There goes Silversnake to another lunch meeting. Don't get hit by a bus. Silversnake knew he was not well liked. He really didn't give a fuck. He was too small and weak all through school and university to attract the attention of any admirers. He got where he got to without good looks or sports skills or music skills or any kind of useful skill. But he had one skill, and he was the master of that one skill. When the voice announced that he was on the main floor, he shifted his glasses so they sat perfectly, and then he walked through the lobby and out onto the courtyard. He kept smiling for the many cameras until he finally came to the street. The Ritz was 6 minutes away by foot and 12 in his limousine when traffic was good. It was never good, and he didn't want to keep the mayor waiting. Not that the mayor wouldn't wait for him. He liked to be on time. It was good business. Showed respect even if he didn't have any. He rarely had any. In fact, he reflected, he couldn't remember if he had ever had any. The thought gave him another smile that was nicely timed for seeing the mayor stepping out of his car. The mayor smiled back and waited for Silversnake to cross the road. "Beautiful day, Mr. Silversnake." "It is indeed, Mayor Curry." They shook hands and ignored the man holding open the door to the hotel. Another man was holding the door open to the restaurant. A waiter took them directly to the table. He held out the chair for Silversnake, then tried to make it around to the mayor's chair, but the mayor wasn't interested in the gesture. The mayor resented Silversnake and hated the man, but he was careful never to let it show. He wasn't a Jew hater. He was well above such trivial stereotyping. He would have hated Silversnake just as much as if he were Anglican or Buddhist. Mayor Carey was publicly an Anglican, but gave little thought to his belief. It made political sense for him to hold to his lifelong lip service to an esteemed institution, even if he believed none of it. His lunch meetings with Silversnake had become more frequent in the last weeks. Silversnake was his biggest financial supporter, and anyone who could do the math knew the mayor took care to assist Silversnake wherever and whenever he could. He had not anticipated such a request as he was now hearing. The buildings are 40 years old and full of asbestos. It would cost billions to update them, and they just aren't worth it. They have to come down. "That's not a problem. I could have the permit on your desk today." "Yes, I know you could, but I don't want to spend years having them taken apart. It's not feasible." The mayor stabbed a piece of tomato and looked at Silversnake. Was that man insane? He must be. And the mayor could see that there was no talking sense. "There is no way, I'm sorry." "You will be, you stuffed shirt." Silversnake held back from smashing his fist into his plate. He imagined it though. He smiled at the olive as it flew over the mayor as the broken pieces spread out over the table. He decided to drop the subject and switch to Wall Street. He didn't say directly what Wall Street was in desperate need of, but he didn't hint at a few problems. Oh fuck. He didn't say directly what Wall Street was in desperate need of, but he did hint at a few problems. He then dropped that topic and asked the mayor about his children. He knew they were a boy and a girl, both at university, doing well. How nice. Architecture. I had a bit of that in high school. Loved it. She loves it. Hopes to get into an office in the spring. I'm sure she will. The next time the waiter came to the table, Silversnake handed him his platinum card. The mayor knew not to suggest paying for the meal, not with taxpayers' money. Silversnake was the kind of rich that didn't pay taxes. I've got to get back to my office, Mr. Curry. Silversnake stood up and stuck his hand out. The mayor tried to read him. All he knew for certain was that he hated that man.
Oops.
Here we go.